Hey guys, come on in, type in freedom now. It's Saturday, October 4th, and there's so much happening with immigration that took place this week in particular. And I thought, you know what? I'm in the office. We're working on some other things here for you. And let me just break away and connect with you because there was so much that happened this week with immigration. And some of you might be feeling really anxious and you're concerned about your case. And so I wanted to take some time to connect with you and to answer your immigration questions today. Hopefully, I'll be able to help some of you today with some of the problems or issues that you're confronted with your immigration case. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working in White Plains, New York. However, we work virtually with clients everywhere, all across the United States and in many different countries. I also have a very strong educational platform, and I'm committed to sharing good information with you as it develops. So come on in, double tap the screen if you're joining today on TikTok. Thank you so much for being here. Double tap. Thank you guys for being with me today on McBean Immigration TV and Facebook. Say hello and say freedom now, freedom now, freedom now. Come on in, friends. Freedom now. Let's go. We have a lot to discuss. Good to see you guys. Thank you for being here with me. Let's see what this will look like. Okay. Hey there, Shan. Thank you so much for being here. Freedom now. Good to see you, Raphael. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'll get to your question momentarily. Just so you guys are aware, our phone lines are open today, and we start with a private one-on-one meeting with you. That's just how we do it with an attorney so that we could go over your immigration background and case and see how we might be able to represent you and help you with your immigration case. So you can reach out to us at 914-898-9488 and speak with, I know Martha is on today. I was just speaking with her, so she's on the phones today. Hey there, Nicholas. Thank you so much for this. Thank you. Freedom now, guys. Double tap the screen. Double tap the screen. We're also developing a new tool for you. And actually, I just finished my part of the project before coming live with you. We're going to create a free tool on our website for those of you who are unsure about whether you need to book a consultation with us or not. We have a case evaluation process in place right now that is not really the best. And so we're making some improvements. And so we're going to offer this free tool on our website, and it's going to give you a lot more insight into whether you need to move forward with booking a consultation with us or not. For some of you, you know right away that you need an attorney's help because of your problem. So certainly for you, it makes sense to just book right away so that we could talk. Freedom now, guys. Freedom now. So tell me, guys, how are you feeling? There was so much bad news that was shared this week from me and from the White House and from DHS and from just everywhere, right? And so it was a heavy week, really, really heavy. And so how are you guys feeling? What's going on with you? Put it in the chat so that I could see what's going on with you, okay? Margaret, good to have you. Freedom now. Thank you so much for being here. Sequoia, thank you so much. Freedom now. Freedom now. Now, there is the first question, and I'm glad that this question is about the H-1B lawsuit. The first question is about that. Just yesterday, the litigators filed a lawsuit in I think it's the Northern District of California. I was just reading an email about it as well from one of them. And they're challenging the Trump administration on the $100,000 fee with respect to the H-1B visa. And so that's something to track. they're really going after the travel ban and this fee, which is like an extortion from the government, by the government, I should say. So, as I learn more information about what's going on with that lawsuit, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But it was just filed yesterday on Friday in the Northern District of California. And actually, let me just check on something right here just to confirm those details because I was looking at the email earlier today. Let's see, what information can I share with you? Um, yeah, it's the Northern District of California. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I'm going to share. Okay. And also in my stories yesterday, late last night, I posted on this in my stories as well. So you could take a look at my story on Instagram to see some information about who the plaintiffs are in that H-1B. Now, Raphael says that, is it bad to send an I-751 removal of condition petition a week early from the 90-day window? So, Raphael, our policy is that once we hit that 90-day window, once we're in it, we will file the removal of conditions case early for a client if the case is ready to go, because we don't want to run the risk of the case being rejected by immigration. So just, do it within the 90-day window. And yeah, that's the better way of handling that, okay? Freedom now. My mom overstayed in the US. How long does it take for me to start her filing? So it's advisable to file after 90 days of her being here in the United States, okay? Happy Saturday. Hey there, Georgia. Thank you for being here. Today, we're just coming together. And I wanted to touch base with you and go through some questions and see what you're struggling with or concerned about because things were so heavy this week with immigration. What's going on with your case? Okay, so Current says my I-130 is approved and my priority date is October 2024. I'm currently in the United States with legal status. Can I file for adjustment of status under the F2A category? So here's how it works. If your priority date is current based on the visa bulletin and you have never worked without authorization here in the United States, you've never overstayed, you have a clean record, the priority date is current, and you're here lawfully within that I-94 period, then yes, adjustment of status is something that an individual can do, provided that they meet all of those requirements that I've just laid out for you. And we have testimonials on our website for this very process. You don't want to wait too long to do this because you have to file within that I-94 window of being here lawfully. I'm on asylum status. Can I apply for travel document? Yes, you can. Yes. Um, Can you do your medical in any state? Yes. Yes, you can. You can do it so long as it's with one of those authorized surgeons, so to speak, that is connected to USCIS. But, with anything, when you're submitting a case to USCIS, particularly a marriage case, pay attention to your address or addresses that are noted across all of the applications. And it's very important that you have an address, a marital home with your spouse, and it's clear where your marital home is. Um, and if you are using someone else's address, like a mail-in address, this is the place where all of my mail go because I trust that, my mother will give me my mail. I trust that my aunt will give me my mail. Well, that's fine. That's fine so long as that is really the case, right? That it's a mail-in address. Be careful about how you're using those particular mail-in addresses, because if you're also alleging that, okay, well, I live there, well, that could be a problem. And immigration most likely will notice that, and you'll have to explain to them why it is that you're saying that you're living also at this mail-in address. So distinguish your mail-in address from your physical address, which is your home, marital home with your spouse. But yeah, the medical can be done anywhere. Um, Veronica says that I had gotten a notice that my interview was canceled and they will mail me if they need anything further as far as rescheduling is concerned. I've overstay my visa. My US citizen daughter filed for me and I don't have a criminal record. So Veronica, it sounds like you're on track to potentially being approved, okay? Maybe they realize that yours is an interview that they don't need to have, right? And so they've canceled it and most likely will approve your case. So keep us posted on your approval, all right? Her Veronica is an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, and her U.S. citizen daughter is filing for her. So normally that's a very smooth process, especially with the background that she just laid out. And she's asking, do I have anything to worry about? Is this normal? It is normal. You have nothing to worry about. Keep us posted on things. Wow. Sequoia says, my Department of State FOIA, which is the Freedom of Information Act, he's trying to get his records from the State Department, has been more than a year now. What can I do? So, DOS FOIA does take a very long time, like customs, CBP FOIA also takes a very long time, a year or even longer in some cases. Now, I would. Um, you would need to ensure, firstly, that the FOIA request was prepared properly and you have confirmation from them that it is being processed. Does it make sense maybe to do a second one? Yeah, you can do a second one, but I can tell you that it's a hit or miss with the Department of State. Sometimes we get these records fairly quickly, and for them, quickly might is 3 months, within 3 months. Other times we have to wait for a year for some clients. But if there is a way for us to make a determination about the next step in their case, and we could do it without the DOS records, we will move forward with it and not wait. However, the DOS record for some people is very, very important because it will produce your old visa applications. And for some of you, we want to see what's on that visa application. If some flags came up during your consultation with us that immigration would also consider to be a flag. We see it first in our consultations. We try to see those flags first during your consultation. Freedom Now, Koiku, thank you. It's great to see you here today. Guys, if you're joining, we're just connecting with each other and helping each other out today with immigration. That's what this is about because there's so much happening, and I want to make sure that my followers and subscribers are in a good position. Okay. Let's see. After marriage, how long before filing your case based on how things are with this administration? Millie is asking. Is it Millie or me? Sheeb is asking. And if I answer your question on TikTok as well, please double tap the screen and find a way to share this live session as well. So after getting married, under this administration, you want to firstly make sure you have some core evidence that you could prepare for your case before filing. So, for instance, you have to have core evidence proven that you guys have a genuine marriage, that you're living together. So, what do you have that proves that you're living together? Do you have a lease? Do you have rent receipts? Do you have mail that comes to the home in both of your names? And not just, like immigration mail, okay? What do you have that comes to the home? that proves that you're together in this same home. Do you have any bank accounts that you've joined together yet? Are you a beneficiary on your spouse's health insurance or brokerage accounts, 401k plans, those kinds of things? I know it's early in the marriage, and it does take time to build those types of evidence. But coming living together, the joint commitment financially, what do you have to show that? Can you get some letters as well of support? Can you draft a declaration or have one prepared telling your love story? I have a course out there, an old one. I don't even know if it's still available to you guys publicly quite yet. Again, that helps folks understand how to draft a winning love story. That one is free. That one is out there. How to draft your winning love story to immigration. Be convincing through your declaration, telling how you met, how the relationship developed, what the wedding was like, what your life is like together today, and how you've brought your resources together. If you're not confident about um, how much information to include in such a declaration or letter for short, then certainly watch my free course online at latoyamcbean.mykajabi. It's on that homepage. Go through that where I talk about the winning love story and what is important to share under any administration. And if you have all of that together, then it makes sense to file. For some couples, and pictures, of course, showing the progression of your relationship over the years. For some couples, they will have a lot to share despite the fact that they've only been married for a short time. Why? Because maybe some people they've lived together, they have been together for years, and so you have a history there. So you could file sooner rather than later. But for some others, you're going to file most likely with not as much evidence as you'd like, so long as you, again, hit on those core pieces of marital address. You brought some resources together and you have some testimonials and your declaration. If you have all of that, it's fine to file, but expect this administration to potentially send you a request for more evidence, asking you to submit more. They just want more, right? And that will be your opportunity to send more. So yeah, that's how you would handle that. All right. Double tap the screen, guys. All right. Robin says that USCIS. I think there might be another way that I could share. Uh, I have another scene here that I should be able to. There we go. One of my marketing assistants would not be happy knowing that he spent all this time creating all these scenes for me and I'm not using them. Okay, there you go. So Robin says the USCIS recently sent me a request for evidence for missing pages from my wife's divorce decree that she submitted when she filed the I-130. Is that something we should be worried about? No. Thank God they did that, Robin. Thank God they're saying, hey, you guys have an opportunity to fix this, cure this problem that we have. They're doing you a favor. So fix the problem and they'll get back on track with continuing to process your case. You might very well have a winning case. So that's good. Don't worry about that. Okay. Freedom now. Hey there, Araba. Good to see you. Janet, hey. Thank you for always being here. Thank you. Thank you. Um, and then Robin's follow-up question is, how long does it take to process the RFE? How long will it take them to get your case back on track after you've submitted your response to them? It just depends on the strength of your case, the overall packet. That's what it really will depend on, Robin. It could be, you could get back on track right away. I mean, like immediately, and they could approve it because they still are moving fast on these cases, marriage cases. So it could happen right away for you. If they'd like to call you in for an interview, that'll slow things down a little bit. So then after this RFE gets processed, and they want to call you and your spouse in for an interview, that's what they would do next. And it could be a matter of a few weeks before you get an interview notice. Again, there's a lot of ifs here. It really all depends on the strength of your case. The VAWA wait-in time for work permit now, I believe it's several months. The VAWA cases, Winston, and other humanitarian cases have been slowed down. They've been slowed down. It's taken several months to even get a receipt notice that they've received those types of cases and are following processing those cases. Is there any recent changes with respect to the timeline for the I-601A waiver? No, not a big change, really. What we're seeing some improvement with the processing times. Nothing that significant, but I want to say that we had one recently that was approved in 2 years or 2.5 years. Normally, it takes 3 to 4 years on the I-601A waiver. And we testified about this one, I think last week. Go to McBeanlaw.com/success. I think it was a 2 year or 2.5 year. It was under 3 years for sure, with the I-601A waiver. Miss McBean, did you hear about the man who was deported to Jamaica? He was born in Germany. His father was a U.S. citizen. He does not have any green card. I have not heard that story. If there's anything in the press about that story, please share a link in the comments and I will find it and take a look at it. But I don't know anything about that story. So go ahead and share a link about it. The government these days, what I do know about from my own experience meeting with clients recently is that the government is, and people contacting our office, they're dropping some folks off in third countries who weren't born there. That's happened, and that I know about. I don't know about this individual case. Then I also know about Ian Roberts. I need to do an updated video, but I really don't want to spend my time on that case. As an immigration lawyer, I had a feeling there was a lot more to it than what we knew last week, Saturday. Now we're finding out that he had drug trafficking back in the 90s. He had forgery on his record as well. There was so much there, and now false claim to U.S. citizenship. So none of the options I discussed for him in my video last Saturday apply to him now. His case just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So I think he's going to be deported. I really do think he's going to be deported. And he has an in absentia removal order. Yes, his lawyer can do a motion to reopen the case to the immigration court. That's not going to work. That won't work in Dr. Ian Roberts' case. I don't even know if he's really a doctor in light of everything that's come out. So I believe he's gonna be deported. I don't know about that other Jamaican that you just referenced right there. I'm wearing my Jamaica good vibes. This is my favorite new buy. We were in Jamaica 3 weeks ago or a month ago. So let's see, what else do you guys have for me? Freedom Now. I don't think criminal trespass is removable. I don't think that's a deportable offense, Coco. Unless there's more to it than what I understand right now. Hello, hello, hello there. If you're just joining, I'm an immigration attorney in New York, and we're here talking about immigration today, answering questions and trying to help those who are struggling with their cases. Thank you so much for being with me on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. Freedom Now, type in Freedom Now. That's what we believe in. My I-485 shows that the interview has been completed after the biometrics. Does that mean that it has been waived? I'm not even certain on what that could potentially mean for you. I don't drill down on the apps and the updates and notifications. I really don't know. I handle um, strategy, removal strategy, marriage, complex family strategy and options, consular matters, criminal matters, things of that nature that our clients are facing, fraud, misrepresentation. I'm not sure about what that could mean from the app that you're using. If anyone else knows based on your experience using these apps and seeing the updates, please educate me, educate me, and educate so that I could educate others. Flow through me today. Freedom Now, guys. Thank you for being here today. We're answering immigration questions. I'm also asking that you guys do me the favor and share the very important YouTube video live session I did yesterday about the urgent alert involving Freaky Friday of ICE going after unaccompanied minors. To threaten them in a letter that is offering $2,500 for them to return to their country. Otherwise, if they don't do it, they're going to be arrested, and their parents could be arrested, and other family members could be arrested. So I shared some very important information, and we're all trying to get out the word to people, as many people as possible, to be informed that this is happening and that folks should not be afraid and intimidated by this new push to go after those 14 years and older who enter the United States as an unaccompanied minor. Most of these folks are from Central American countries, and they're going after these young people now. So please do me the favor and share the information that I shared yesterday so that the community is alerted to this. Nonprofits all across the U.S. they're 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 ready with this one to help these young people. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to your questions. I recently applied for the I-485 adjustment of status, and I currently hold an F1 student visa. I applied for my work permit as well. If I happen to use my work permit, will my F1 visa be terminated? Additionally, will I be able to continue studies with a pending adjustment of status case? So, Don, this is a very common dilemma that students have because when you work, it is in violation of the F1 student process. Um, Although you're eligible to work through adjustment of status, you're violating the other process, the other good status that you have. And if your I-485 adjustment of status case does not work out for you and you're not approved for the green card that way, you'll have to think, well, whoa, is my student status, can I continue to rely on that, right? You would have violated. And DHS, of course, at that point has the prerogative to place you in removal if they chose to do that for violating the terms of your student visa. So it's a tricky situation. Before I answer that question to a client, I look at what the strength of that I-485 is. If I know, okay, this is a case that we're preparing, this case is going to be approved, that I believe is going to be approved, it doesn't matter anymore about that student visa process or status because you're going to get a green card through adjustment of status. But I only say it's fine when I know that it's a strong 485 case and you're going to be approved. I don't know. I would never know unless you and I were sitting here in our conference room, one-on-one. Okay? But just know that you would be violating the terms of your student visa if you were to work. If a person gets married and divorced in Haiti, can the Haitian divorce document be used here for the new marriage? Yes, yes, it can be. So long as it's a genuine document that was issued by the authority in Haiti that issues divorce decrees. If it's a genuine document, it's fine to be used here in the United States. If you have a 2-year green, Unstoppable is asking if you have a 2-year conditional green card with a clean record, is it okay to travel internationally? The short answer is yes, for most people. Short answer, yes. So long as you're still in good standing with your spouse, okay? If you're in good standing with your U.S. citizen spouse, then you have nothing to worry about. Double tap the screen, guys. Um, I'm not sure how long the change of address takes with these days. It's usually, my understanding though, just anecdotally, is that it's very quick. It's right away. It's an online process through your online account at uscis. Be careful though with you have an obligation under the law to update your address with uscis when you do move. So it is something that folks need to do, including green card holders. Lawful permanent residents, just remember your obligation to update your address with USCIS when you move as well. Uh, Janu says they came to my house for an interview in February, and I got an approval for the I-130 in May. And they asked again for my medical because my case was filed in 2019 and it's expired. I sent everything in May. I haven't heard anything yet. So it's good that you passed the scrutiny in February when they came to your house for that site visit. That's great. And I know that you passed that scrutiny because they then approved the I-130, which is about bona fide marriage. So that's good. When they ask for an updated medical, most likely you're close to the end of this process. And so you should be looking out for hopefully an approval of your I-45 unless they see something else during that adjustment of status review of your case. I think that, since you sent this back in May, the updated medical, you should have gotten your approval by now because we're now quite a time away from May, right? June, July, August, September, 4 months. So they're looking at something, I think, with respect to your 485. Something else might have come up. If you need additional help with that, certainly reach out to us because that's what those are the types of cases that we handle at McBean Law. Um, Can someone with a dismissed misdemeanor do VAWA if they are married to a U.S. citizen? If the U.S. citizen abused you, you can apply for VAWA. I would want to know what this misdemeanor was. It sounds like it might not have been something that serious. Friends, I have another update for you that I had received on Monday, this past Monday, from the American Immigration Lawyers Association during a meeting that they held. Okay, and I'm going to share it with you now. Those of you who have been seeing, we've all seen those horrific videos of people in Manhattan, largely in New York City immigration court being taken away by ICE after they leave the courtroom. And it's really intimidating and fearful for a lot of people and chilling their ability to cooperate with the process and go to court. A lot of people just don't want to go to court anymore. For us, we're filing motions for WebEx hearings for our clients. So now here's the thing. Why are they taking away these people? Well, according to the information that was shared on Monday. Apparently, what they're doing is they're looking specifically for anyone who has an arrest record. That is the flag that they're really looking for. Arrest. I did not say conviction. I did not say felony. I did not say misdemeanor. I just said arrest. That's what they said. Arrest. So you might be saying, well, my case was dismissed. Yes, I was arrested for domestic violence, or I was arrested for assault or something else, but it was dismissed. Well, they're looking at arrests. If on their end they see that you're on that docket that day to appear in court, and yet you have an arrest on your record, that is the flag that they are using now to label you as a criminal alien. That's what they're doing. So if you have an arrest on your record and you're in removal with a hearing coming up specifically in Manhattan, absolutely speak with your immigration lawyer and say, oh, I heard, and please quote me properly, that they're looking at arrest history here. And I think I have something that I need to be concerned about. Can you help me through this? Can I get a WebEx hearing instead? And this is the information. This is accurate, guys, that I'm sharing with you. So that's what's going on primarily. Arrests. This happened as well with the international students in um, earlier in the spring. Earlier in the spring, when we saw all of those international students getting their visas revoked. Why? Because of an arrest or something criminal on their record that came up. And for many of them, of course, their visa revocations were overturned due to litigation and some other things. And I have a podcast out there with one of the smart litigators who had led some of those TRO lawsuits to get those students their visa back. And during that podcast, it is on YouTube, or the horizontal one. It's He talked about the fact that, yeah, they were going after those who had an arrest or something criminal on their record. So, and it was actually thousands of people, guys. So that's what's happening in Manhattan. All right. So you heard it from me. You heard it from me. Manhattan, be aware if you have an arrest on your record. Okay. Before you go to that immigration court. Let's see. Let's go. Oops, I'm on the wrong scene again. I really need a producer. I need a producer. Miss McBean, can the school commissioner from Iowa ever return to the United States? Yes, he can. Dr. Roberts, if he is a doctor, I don't know, can possibly return only as a visitor. If one day the U.S. Embassy in Georgetown, Guyana, approves a non-immigrant visa waiver for him and set aside temporarily all of these things that we're now learning about, including drug trafficking charges that he was connected to back in the 1990s, and forgery and all of this, false claim to U.S. citizenship. So he has a very bad record, okay? Bad record. And it's possible that after a long time, I don't think that the embassy will approve a visa for him over the next 5 years or 7 years, for that matter. I would say he would need to go back to Guyana and reestablish himself there and strengthen his ties there and show that he is reformed. He has changed. He is no longer that fraudster. I don't care what anyone says. That man, he deceived a lot of people, and it broke my heart to see all those children walk out of school protesting for a man who I knew had a really bad record. And he tricked a lot of people, and it was shameful to deceive the school in that way. It was shameful that they didn't do their homework to protect the students, because students, you know how kids are, they latch on to you. They trust you immediately. And he had a great rapport with the children, and they believed that he was someone great, and he deceived them. And it's shameful that the school district did that, and they should be held accountable. So for him, I think that he will not be able to return to the United States unless maybe 10 years has passed and he has shown some real reforms. Okay. You could tell that I really wanted to talk about that. I didn't ask you to ask me that question, but I'm so glad you did because it's been boiling up in me for a good while now. He deceived a lot of people. Let's go. And I hated that he's a black man too. I was like, oh my God. Trust me, I don't, let's guys, it bothered me. I said, oh no, he's black too. And from the Caribbean. That hurt. So that's why I'm so angry about it. Like, dag. I sure did say that publicly. It bothered me that he was a black man, that he's black, and this happened. You guys know you feel the same way. If you feel the same way, say I feel the same way. Um, all right, let's keep going with some. Let me get back on track. Is an interview needed for the I-90 green card renewal? No, they don't normally call you in for an interview for the I-90. Okay, you have nothing to worry about. Can I go to Jamaica on a 48-month extension? Yes, yes. If you have a good record, okay? Be careful if you are at removal or if you have a criminal record. But everyone else can travel, okay? Thank you. Double tap the screen. Um, Johnson is asking, do you automatically get a 5-year ban if you're removed, no matter the circumstances? So if the 5-year ban, Johnson, typically applies to people who have are removed usually at the airport or on foot if they're on foot at the southern border or northern border. And it's an expedited removal process. They usually are subject to a 5-year ban. And for some people who have a visa, their visa is canceled as well. And so that's 5 years for them. Others, if they're deported, they get a 10-year ban. Where are you? Leon is asking. Leon, today I'm actually in my office in White Plains, New York. White Plains, New York. Okay. And I'm not going to feel funny later saying, oh my God, I can't believe I said that publicly. I don't care. I don't care. Let's keep going. Um, Great question. Karina is asking, my niece's DACA expired and it has not been renewed for 5 years now. Can she apply now? Yes, she can. Yes, she can. And for those of you who had DACA in the past and you allowed time to pass, and when you tried to renew it, you submitted your renewal. Unfortunately, you were caught up in this 4-year litigation. Um, but you filed and they treated your DACA application as an initial filing because you allowed too much time to pass in between your renewals. Well, they're going to continue to process that application now. So that's great news. So consider that if you're out there thinking about self-deporting too, and you have an application for DACA pending, please wait until you get a decision on your DACA case before you make the big decision to leave the United States, okay? But yes, she can go ahead and apply now for DACA. We're doing it. Our policy is yes, we're doing it now. Because when the federal government says, this is what we're going to do, federal government, they're going to do it. It's going to happen. So we're doing it for our clients who are eligible for DACA, okay? So that's great news. Can you get married to a U.S. citizen without an I-94? You could marry whoever you choose to marry. Okay, now with the I-94, the spouse can still file for you, start a process for you, and then you'll just do a waiver and finish the process at a U.S. embassy abroad. That process works. It works. Okay, double tap the screen, guys. You have such excellent questions today. Thank you guys for being with me on this Saturday afternoon. Rix says, I was removed or deported from the United States as a green card holder 15 years ago by my parents. You were removed by your parents? Anyway, we're right by a firehouse. Now I have a B1, B2 visa. How should I proceed? I want to live in the United States. Rix, you could you can travel obviously with your visa. You can also potentially get a green card again. I'm not sure what led to the removal and the stripping away of your green card back then. If it sounds like it was something very serious. So we would look to see what happened there to see if your uh, barred, so to speak, from becoming a green card holder again. So contact us if you like, and we'll go deeper with you to find out what happened there. But it's good to know that you have a B1, B2 visitor visa that allows you to travel back and forth to the United States. I would also add, don't overstay on your visitor visa. Just don't overstay. Keep your record clean with immigration. You're starting over. But were you deported for an aggravated felony? That's what I would really want to know, if it was an aggravated felony. When you use the word remove, by the way, as I'm reviewing your question, removed in my mind and in this forum always means deported. If you're saying, however, that your parents sent you back, if you mean it in that context, oh, my parents sent me back 15 years ago, that's an entirely different thing. You might have a pathway back as a green card holder. So I wanted to cover both sides of the interpretation there, okay? Freedom now, guys. Come on in. Thank you for being here this Saturday afternoon. Let's talk immigration. I have my 48-month extension and I got a divorce. What can I do now? Becky is asking. So Becky, you're in your 48-month extension. The I-751 was filed jointly with the spouse who you're now divorced from. Is that what happened? Because if it was filed jointly, then you can convert that into a waiver case based on the fact that you were in a good, genuine marriage at one point, but it ended in divorce because things made a turn for the worse. That case needs to be converted before immigration makes a decision on the joint filing. If Becky, you and your spouse had jointly filed the removal of conditions. Let's see. Let's see. DUI after green card, how will you be treated upon re-entry to the United States? You might be fine. I'm not, you might be fine. Yes, this government is cracking down on DUI in many other contexts. I'm just scratching my head here trying to figure out if I've heard. I personally haven't heard a lot of people having problems coming back in who have a DUI on the record. Um, you might be fine, but I just I have a blanket opinion nowadays that if you have a criminal record, you shouldn't travel. It could be a problem for you. You might be fine, but it could be a problem for you. It could go either way. I have not been hearing a lot of problems, a lot of stories with respect to travel and entry problems outside of the normal things that I would hear as an immigration attorney. Okay. Can I file for my citizenship if my marriage is 5 years old, but my green card is 1 year old? No, not quite yet. Not you have to be a resident. You'll have to be a resident for 3 years, okay, to do that early naturalization process. Um, I have my asylum interview after 9 years of filing. My family is going in on October 21st in Chicago for their asylum interview. All right, so with this, if you have an asylum interview coming up, it's really critical that you prepare yourself, have your witnesses, if you have any witnesses, work with a lawyer. Although lawyers can't really do or say much at an asylum interview, some lawyers just don't go because they would be useless. It's very important, however, that before that interview, you prepare. Look at your declaration, your story, and look at every line in that story. Is this true? Is that true? Is this true? Is this true? Can I prove this? What do I have to prove that? What if they ask me this about this one? You've literally got to go line by line. That's how you've got to really, really drill down with your asylum case and prepare and tear it apart. Argue both sides of it, right? Be that person that who will be interviewing you and ask, well, what questions could she possibly ask me that day? Take a look at that story because that's where those questions are going to come from, and pull it apart and do both sides of the argument. That's how you're going to really prepare, but you have to have some real good evidence. You will also have an opportunity to supplement the evidence, supplement what you submitted 9 years ago. It was a long time ago. The events might not be as fresh in your mind as possible, which is why your declaration is so very critical. Pull it apart and and don't misrepresent during that asylum interview because that could hurt you later on. Now, your case, if the government doesn't approve the case, USCIS doesn't approve it, they'll place it in removal for a judge to take it apart as well and consider it. So it's very critical that you do not misrepresent any fact on your declaration and during that interview. But prepare, 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 prepare for that interview. Let us know how it goes. I wish you well with that. I wish you well. Can my daughter, who has a removal order and DACA, be able, well, can the government remove her? Well, she has deferred action, so I don't believe that they're going to have a good basis to do that at this time. Same with a person with TPS, right? Temporary protected status or DACA. They're not going to take that strong action to remove that person unless, certainly DACA, as you guys know, is discretionary. And so, for instance, if, and this is not you, Malika, but in case, in a situation where a person has DACA and a removal case, well, if they did something really bad, right, that could cause them to lose DACA and the DACA not being renewed, well, that opens the door for the government to execute on that removal. But if she doesn't have a serious record, criminal record, I think she'll be okay, um, protected with that deferred action. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Let's go down a little bit. Jacqueline is in the house from Florida. Thank you guys for not spamming. You guys are so amazing today. Thank you. Um, I came with my B1, B2 visa about 2 months ago. I decided to apply for school. I've received an I-20. Um, can I change my status? Can I change my status to student visa? You're gonna need to, I think you're gonna have to eventually go outside of the United States. Do not start school. You can't start school yet until you get your visa. Um, I'm not certain whether it's a good idea for you to stay here. I'm not the expert on student visa cases, just so you know. That's why I laughed, because I said, oh, I might not know the answer to this one. Um, but what you can do, you could speak with one of my colleagues who handles employment and student cases. That's just not my area of expertise. Okay. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going. Um, I'm not sure. So, Sergio, I don't know if I could answer this one either. Can you explain the legality of the CDL restriction for EAD? Are you talking about what Texas did? I think it was earlier this week, where they said that folks with DACA and other types of status are no longer eligible for a CDL license. Um, I'm not sure about the rest of your question there. Hold on a second to verify this. Okay, let's keep going. For DV lottery winners, what could lead to a denial? So I think the denial could potentially happen at the embassy interview. If there's a flag that comes up at the interview, if they discover a misrepresentation, that could lead to a denial. That's usually the number one issue is maybe at some years prior you had filed a visa application and it had inconsistent information on it, right? And so they see that, and that could lead to a denial. So if you had previously applied for a visa and you were refused of that visa, you've got to go back in time and consider what you had said in the past to the U.S. Embassy, because it will come up again during your DV interview. That's really the number one issue that I've seen with regard to the DV winners, is misrepresentation. How can I contact you? Our contact details are in the bio there on TikTok. The phone number is there. Our website is McBeanlaw.com. It has all of our information, some of our success stories and reviews and some other things. Our phone number is 914-898-9488. Okay, let's go up here a little bit. Can I apply for naturalization with a dismissed case that happened 6 years ago? Dimitri is asking. You could possibly do that. Speak with a lawyer about what that case was and what the risks are with respect to applying for naturalization. You might be fine, but speak with a lawyer one-on-one, who can go deeper with you. Hey there, Sasha. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go down a little bit here. Getting a green card replaced after it's been stolen would require Norma the I-90 application. So the I-90 application. Okay. Dignity Act, what's going on with that? I don't think anything's happening these days with the Dignity Act on Capitol Hill. Will the H-1B visa change bankrupt migration lawyers' business models? Maybe for some, not for us. Let's keep going. Can green card through marriage be denied because of negligent driving, first degree? Negligent driving, first degree. Um, I don't know. It just depends. The thing is this, I would want to know what state this happened so that we could pull that statute. We would also want to know what the consequences were, how this case was disposed or ended, how it ended, and then advise you accordingly. Okay. And also, is it still going on? Because if it's still going on, USCIS will not make a decision on your green card case until they know how it ended. So speak with us one-on-one about that, please, if you'd like. Excuse me. I wanted to become a migration lawyer, but I don't know if it's a good idea at this time. I feel like I shouldn't say what I'm thinking. Um, so just to pull your question back up there and to put on a more professional disposition at this time, BB, I think now is a good time. Now is a good time to consider immigration law if you're qualified, only if you're qualified. If you're unqualified, meaning that you're not going to do what it takes to learn, study, be part of the professional community, to learn from other immigration lawyers. Even right now, as I'm doing this live, they're all emailing each other. I'm part of the email too. I'm reading, mainly reading and learning and learning and learning every day from them because it's so complex, it's so hard, and you've got to be willing to be part of the professional network and learn. We need qualified, good immigration lawyers more now than ever. So now is a good time to commit yourself to this type of profession to learn. There are so many people who need the help. There are so many people who need the help. It's a strong market. It's a very good business model, but it's now is the time that smart, passionate people who are qualified and who aren't afraid of this fight that we're facing to jump in. We really need the help. We really do. A lot of people really need the help. Oops. I mistakenly sent an invitation to someone. Ignore my invitation because I'm not pulling anyone up on this show on TikTok. Okay. So my thumbs, I don't think I have big fingers, but it's, it, I invited someone. Okay. My son has his immigration appointment next Thursday. Do you think it's safe for him to go? What appointment is this? Is this an appointment in court or is this an appointment at USCIS's office? And what type of case does he have? Most people are okay to go to their appointments. And as a matter of fact, it's happening Monday through Friday. These appointments are happening at the government office, and most people are walking out and they go back home. It's just that, like I said earlier, you might have missed my update that I learned this past Monday from the American Immigration Lawyers Association that in Manhattan in particular, ICE is looking for anyone who has an arrest, ARREST, on their record. And that's it. Those are the ones who they're flagging as criminal aliens. And those are the ones who primarily we're seeing being taken away in a very disgraceful way each day. What is Congress going to do with the Dignity Act? I don't know. Congress is not functioning right now. Congress is going through a partisan warfare. So I suspect that the Dignity Act, I don't think it's going to move anywhere on Capitol Hill. What is the current trend that we're seeing with the I-485 and I-130 processing time, particularly in New Jersey, Newark? Also, do we need to worry about being detained? People in what I've heard recently about Newark, about New Jersey in particular, actually, is that yes, they're looking for individuals who have outstanding warrants. If you have an outstanding warrant and you're going in for an asylum interview or something like that in Newark, New Jersey, most likely you're going to be detained. Anyone really with an outstanding warrant, you've got to know that you have that warrant and you've got to try to rectify that situation. And before you go into immigration's office, even if it was a warrant in another state, the government has a way of knowing and having the data available to them about your history across the country. And so don't think because that thing happened in Florida and you're now in New York, it's not going to come up in New York. It very well might. So I'm hearing some people are being arrested in Newark for that reason of having outstanding warrants. I haven't heard anything else. Um, the trend with the 45 I-130, it's happening fast these days, few months. Some people are being approved without an interview still. Others are getting an interview and still having a fast approval. That's what we've been seeing in some cases. Okay. So, but be careful, guys, with your arrest, with an arrest history and you're approaching immigration. Just be careful. All right. Any update with Sige? No, Laura, the last update that I've seen, and this was months ago, had to do with the fact that uh, they will no longer, they're not able to do the deferred action so that they could get the EAD while they're waiting. But that's about it. And then, of course, the awful news yesterday about Freaky Friday, I think will impact potentially, maybe, I don't know, some SIG applicants. Maybe the SIG applicants have a right to have their case go all the way up to the end. But if they enter it as undocumented, I'm sorry, unaccompanied minors, I don't know yet really with much confidence how that's going to impact this whole Freaky Friday initiative. Um, Such cases, I'm not sure how that's going to really, interact. For now, I really do think they're going to be okay on the SIG side, but it's hard to say, truly. Florida is in the house. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here from Florida. Someone says that if married to a U.S. citizen and I have a child, U.S. citizen child, and got deported for 10 years, how can you come back? How can you come back? What was the reason for the deportation? Let's start there. Because returning to the United States after deportation has to do with what led to the deportation. Is it an aggravated felony? Was it based on the fact that you overstayed a visa and you just didn't have any options in removal in immigration court at that time? If that's the case, so the option of return into the United States will depend on what led to the deportation. Okay, some people can return, others they cannot return unless they come back as a visitor. Like I mentioned earlier, with respect to that the Ian Roberts case, that he could come back maybe after 10 years, I don't know, as a visitor if he gets a waiver approved, but not as, green card holder in light of the record that we now know. And I'm referring to the Iowa superintendent case. I have a work permit. Am I able to travel state to state? I think you should be fine. I have not been hearing about problems that people are having at the airport traveling domestically. And I know other lawyers, I've seen their videos. They say, do not travel, don't go to the airport, don't do this, don't do. I have not said that. I don't see any big problems happening at the airports at this time, traveling domestically. Okay, let's go down a little bit. Freedom Now, Raphael, good to see you. Thank you for being here. What happens if you didn't have a chance to do fingerprints with DACA? Alonzo is asking because maybe the litigation stopped the process. You're going to eventually get, once they get this going again later this month, you're going to get a biometrics notice. Any updates on the I-130 petition? Check the October visa bulletin because the F2A category in particular, I highlighted some time ago, that category has advanced in a very nice way. That's the big change that I see there that would impact the I-130 process. For some people, I know that you're waiting a very long time on that I-130 approval. I do know that. But then as with anything with immigration, then there are others who are getting their cases approved so quickly. Yeah. Let's go down a little bit. Okay. How do I? I just banned my first person here. First one here on YouTube. He wasn't speaking respectfully to someone else who was just trying to get information. So he was very, very rude. I have to question his motive. So he was banned. People come here for genuinely looking for information. They don't need to be harassed by anyone in the comments. I don't like it. So I just banned somebody who did that to someone. It's not nice. Can DACA recipients still travel domestically? Yes, I believe they can. Yes. There have, Persuade, the I-601 waiver, it's a still good process to help people who have problems like fraud on their record or other inadmissibility issues like some certain criminal record can be dealt with the 601 waiver. How long that takes will depend on what type of case it's attached to. And also, are you here in the U.S. and you need that, or are you outside of the U.S. and you need that waiver? And then the other thing to consider is, do you have a relative that qualifies you for this waiver? There's so much to it. Thank you. Thank you. What should be prepared for removal of conditions? Christy is asking. What should be prepared? So, Christy, if you're going to be doing this case with your spouse jointly, focus in on evidence that you guys have been in a genuine marriage over the past 2 years. They're going to need fresh evidence. Don't just repackage the same things that you guys sent to them uh, during the I-130 case. They're looking for fresh evidence. You got through the first process smoothly, maybe, I don't know. So you understand what I mean by genuine marriage and bona fide evidence of a bona fide marriage. Focus on that and gathering all of that. And then but if you're going to try to do this on your own because the marriage isn't strong anymore, or maybe you're divorced or separated, well, those different processes have very specific requirements that need to be met. So you could share more if you'd like about what specific circumstance you might be in, or a person um, or more information that you're seeking, right? So that I could really narrow it a little bit there, okay? Um, let's see. Rosie is asking, do you recommend filing for DACA for a Honduran TPS holder in Texas? Should they just wait to see what happens in court? I believe there was a class update on TPS Alliance feed, Gnome, too. So Rosie, things are not looking so good these days for TPS. The Supreme Court is backing President Trump on a lot of these immigration matters. We saw yesterday that they agreed with the administration that TPS for Venezuela, that could end. That was TPS, right? I think it was. I shared it in my story too. They've agreed with Trump on numerous occasions, the Supreme Court. So it's very likely that it's going to end, right, for your country, the country of your birth. Now, if you're eligible for DACA, if I'm saying this, if anyone is eligible for DACA, they should apply for it. The door has reopened, right? So take advantage of it. But you're in Texas, so you're not going to get a work permit. That is the problem. And I'm not going to get into, I've seen some questionable videos on TikTok of people telling other folks publicly, non-lawyers, I haven't seen a lawyer do this, about how to be creative with getting away with still living in Texas and getting your EAD under DACA. Be very careful and not try to do not commit fraud in this matter. The government will be clearer in what it expects you to give to them to prove that you're not in Texas, you're not living and working in Texas. They're going to let you guys know very soon what those requirements are. But the EAD is not part of any resident from Texas. The litigation, Rosie, I don't know what's going on with that, but like I said, I don't think these litigation with respect to TPS is going to really work out. I don't really think that they will, because the Supreme Court is not on the side of keeping TPS in place when the administration says it should be, canceled or terminated. For you, it just might be a smooth transition, and you might not even have a break in your EAD if you're no longer living in Texas. It's a strategic time. You've got to think strategically at this point, okay? Freedom now, guys. Let's go down a little bit. Thank you guys for joining my fan club on TikTok. Thank you. And if you have not followed yet on TikTok, you could follow. Go ahead and follow, and see what we have there. Some good stuff on TikTok. Let's see. Questions are coming in so fast. Can you travel to another state if your visa expired? Maybe, yes. Yeah. The visa, you traveling around the United States doesn't have anything to do with the visa that you had been given to come to America. Okay, let's see what else. Someone says, love that hoodie. Me too. It's keeping me warm right now. It's keeping me warm, and it's my color. It's Jamaica. It just feels good. Just feels good. Although, yeah, gotta get going soon. Okay. Let's go down a little bit. I've been, you guys know, those of you who have been following me for years, that I used to have some hoodies with McBean on it, and some other stuff I used to put on these hoodies, these merch, till my store was hacked. My merch store was hacked, by the way, but years ago. So, so I've actually been thinking about a new design just to make it easier because I'm tired of buying new clothes. So I might come out with my own merch again very soon. It's just a design. I've been working on that. Okay, let's go down. Let's go over here. I thought I saw. Um, I'll have to look at that CDL issue. I'm unfamiliar with what's going on with the CDL and for EAD, other than Texas. I know specifically it's Texas, okay? Texas. That I know about. I don't know the applicability of that new policy anywhere else. More research will need to be done on my side to learn about that issue, okay? Um, Jamaica is very fast now with their interviews, Kingston. Very fast, very fast. I think like a month, within a month. My I-601A has been denied. Can we do the I-485 adjustment of status? Santana is asking. So Santana, if you were doing a 601A, it means that you couldn't do 485, right? Because the 601A was directing you to a U.S. embassy. So we would have to take a look at what kind of case this is and whether a 601A was required or and needed for your case. Um, to see whether you can do adjustment of status. Okay. But normally, when people do the 601A, it means they cannot do the 485 because they're not eligible for adjustment of status. Okay. Let's see something here. Guys, I'm going to have to jump off now. It's been a little over an hour. And, oh, it's been a little over an hour. I forgot to tell you guys about this. So if you're following us on social media, you probably have been seeing this week that we've been sharing information, tips about the notice of intent to deny process. Okay. And this notice of intent to deny is very important now for you guys to understand. Why? Because immigration is sending out a lot more of these. They're denying a lot of cases these days, and people need to understand what they should be working on if they get a notice of intent to deny before a case is denied. So we shared some tips this week on social media about what you need to think about. Today it looks like we published, I'm now seeing this. We published tips 4 and 5 um, that talks about you've got to know where was your notice sent. For some people who get a notice of intent to deny, um, the government sometimes messes this up, guys, and then it delays you. You only have 30 days to respond to this. And if you can't find this, then your case will be denied. But there are ways that we help to remedy that situation. Um, and and specifically what we talked about today in our carousel is that if you're separated from your spouse and the notice was sent to him or to her, you're in a very bad position right now, because then you won't know about it most likely. And if you don't know about it, the case will be denied. And this notice of intent to deny in marriage cases is usually sent to the petitioner's spouse. If it's a different type of case, of course, like a naturalization case, you will know it'll come to you, of course. You've got to keep your address updated with immigration, because when they send this notice, It's you want to get it and you want to act fast so that you could respond to it properly. There's some more that we say here, so go check it out on Instagram. Our tips, 5 tips for handling a notice of intent to deny. Thank you so much for being with me today. It was fun. It was fun, fun, fun. I enjoyed it. I'll be back with you guys on Monday at 1 o'clock. I'll be live everywhere on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you guys so very much for being with me. I hope you found this session helpful. We're going to get through this together, guys. We're in it together. Thank you so much, and I will see you on Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.